Welcome back to Decision 2017. My name is Gladys Gashanja. I am in the heart of the newsroom. With me, 8 representatives of the electorate. Remember, we have 39 days to go to the fresh presidential election slated on October 17th. And a lot has been happening, especially at the IEBC, at the anniversary towers. There is a crisis there, and would like to hear from the electorate what they think about the ongoings of the same. And speaking of which, there are many changes that have been made. And as you've heard, Chebukati has said he will work with the new team going into the next presidential election. I think this is a part where I ask, do the changes given or that have been done at the IEBC give you confidence going into the next presidential election? We'll start with you, William Deco.
Thank you so much, Gladys. Even without talking about the changes first, looking at the reactions of both politicians from both political sides of the divide, it gives a clear indication that, one, the main stakeholders who are the politicians are not confident enough of the IEBC. And then looking at what has played out in IEBC itself, Chebukati giving one communication and Mr. Chiloba giving one other perspective of his communication, also is another indication. And one would be that it's a solid proof that the commission itself is divided. And in my thought as a young person, I would want to imagine that going into an election with a commission that is solidly divided as that is as risky as driving a car at a very high speed to the edge of a cliff and expecting it to fly when it reaches that cliff instead of crashing. Mm-hmm. And the fact that the politicians themselves are not have expressed their reservations with the commission, then it means that something else needs to be done for the commission. As it's currently constituted, I would believe that it doesn't give me confidence simply because it doesn't give the main stakeholders that confidence.
Dr. Kaimenyi, do you have confidence with the changes that are being made going into the next presidential election?
Yes, I must say that I love my country. I'm a voter, and I'm glad to be here this evening. And let me say, if the integrity of the commission was questioned, then changes must be made. Because well, after what happened during the elections and the petition, and the eyes of the petition was on the commissioners and the IEBC and what happened, so changes must be made. Not necessarily that everybody will like the changes, and we must know that they can never satisfy everybody. So changes must be made, and so what I really want to see at this point in time is that we need to move, because the Constitution and the Supreme Court made a decision that this must be done, the next elections must be done within 60 days. So that must be adhered to, okay? So that the changes are made immediately and we move. So there is no delay, because as a parent, we have to have our children in school, we have to have things moving. Politics should not hold us back. Things and other institutions must go as they should. Okay,
Kenyanito, as a representative of the civil society, with the infighting within IEBC as we see it right now, do you believe this electoral body should in the first place be in charge of an election?
Thanks, Gladys. Number one, there was a problem, and we must understand that if it's working, why fix it? But if it's not working, we need to fix it. And the Supreme Court in the preliminary findings was very clear that the elections were not done as per the dictates of the Constitution. We, the people of Kenya, gave ourselves this progressive document in the year 2010. And so we must ensure that the bodies which have got powers, the independent bodies, must execute their roles as per the definition within the constitutions. And so I feel that let the IEBC put its house in order. And so I want to differ with Daktari when she says that we need to pick up and move on. We're moving on from where? Because politics is about resources. It's about who gets what, when, and how. And so if who gets what, when, but now the process is the how. So we must redefine this thing. I know the Supreme Court made the ruling, and it's got to be done within 90 days. But it should not be in a rush that we want our children to be back in school. We are going to do this thing, but we must ensure that the processes is done as per the Supreme Court ruling.
Okay, over to you, Reverend Sammy Samuel. With the changes, we have a few days to the October 17th presidential election, and the Supreme Court saying that the IEBC did not deliver fair, credible election. Do you believe they will give the same this time round?
Yeah, thank you, Gladys. First of all, I want to say, whatever chairman is doing, Chebukati, the way he's doing the reshufflings and giving memos to some of his officials, that is very right. Because I think the Supreme Court questioned the integrity of IEBC. And therefore, whatever they are doing, to me, that's okay. As my brother has just said, that it is important, actually, to put your house in order before you start your journey.
Okay.
And I believe if they do that, we have confidence with the IEBC.
Okay, Florence, over to you as a representative of the Bunge la Wananchi. Going into the next election, do you think they should be in charge of it?
For me, I would personally say, as a voter and a human rights defender and a peacemaker, I think we are not it will be so. It will be so hard and so bad if we use the same IBC for the next elections. Because now it has been questioned, as everyone here has said, it has been questioned by the Supreme Court, which means there's a problem. So why are we repeating the problem? I think there's a voice of reason in IBC, and they understand this. So they need just to act. If they have a problem, let them solve their problem, put the house in order, and then for us as voters, it will be easier for us just to, because we believe in them, to believe in IBC. If it didn't deliver and it's still the same, it will not deliver. If it changes, then it's going to deliver. That is my view as a common voter and as a woman, actually, because everything, it ripples down to a woman and her children. Yep.
Okay, Dr. Pokiriel, probably to be prudent to ask you the opinion count question tonight. What should Ezra Chiloba at this point do, because he seems to be under siege, but these, as you are saying, changes are very important?
Yeah, actually, whatever changes are to be made, the two things must be kept in the mind. First thing, the overall peace in the country, and the future of the generation, the younger generation who are in the school, and the workers who are losing many hours because of all these things. So those things are primary. Yes, if there are suggested changes, they must be done for the sake of peace, and peace only is maintained if there is truthfulness and transparency. So in that way, the best way is think of the country first and the overall peace in the country. That is paramount.
Maybe at this point, I can ask Nicholas to weigh in on the same.
First of all, I don't think it is IEBC. In fact, we should call it JEBC. I call it JEBC because it should be called Jubilee Independent on Jubilee Electoral and Boundaries Commission. Because if it walks like a duck, and if it flaps like a duck, if it swims like a duck, then you all know the reason, the answer that it must be a duck. Now, why does Jubilee and IEBC talk the same language? Is it independent? Is it independent? So some of us know that actually IEBC is an annex of Jubilee. So we should actually overhaul the whole IEBC going into the next election. Though I know that at this time we cannot do away with the chairman, because who again is going to appoint the new chairman of the IEBC, because the president does not have the powers to hire or even to fire. That would be my say for now.
Okay, now moving a little bit away from that, now that you mentioned the political parties, now Michael, to you, Jubilee are saying they do not agree with the list that was put forward to oversee the next presidential election. NASA say they are happy with the changes, but the changes need to go deeper than they have. What do you think?
In my own opinion, after the ruling, we were given 60 days within which we should conduct the elections. And I believe that the court, during that period when they were giving the ruling, they must have considered that Kenyans, as a normal Kenyan, as a normal voter, that we don't have currently, we don't have a trust in the current IEBC system, and something needs to be done. Changes needs to be done. But in this short period of time, if we calculate well enough, are we really going to have a new IEBC within the 60 days of which the court gave the ruling? If not so, then Jubilee and NASA, what do they have in plan for us? Because I believe if we must have an independent IEBC, then we need the two principles to come together to the table, have a common ground whereby we will have one IEBC, whereby if the Jubilee and NASA have trust in the Independent Electoral Commission, then we as normal voters, we will also have that same trust towards the Commission. But if at all they are quarreling and they are fighting over the IEBC, then they need to think of us as normal Monanchi, and that is why I support my my very able panelist here that I think it's time now that our politicians need to think of us. Kenya needs to move on, and in that period of 60 days, they need to settle their differences, allow us to vote. We are ready to vote again, but now they need to think of Kenya.
Okay, Kenyanito, let me reel you in on this one. Both political divides are saying what they want or the changes they'd like to see are the IEBC. The chairman has been very categorical. Stay away from the IEBC. We're an independent body. We're going to overhaul this and give you the credible election that you deserve. Do you believe that he will, and should the political parties steer clear of the IEBC?
Gladys, two things are coming to play here. Number one, the chair for the IEBC and the entire commission, it's in a very, very precarious position as you're speaking. Because every single day, every single minute that it takes, days are being counted. The pressure is from both political divide. But we must take cognizance that independent institutions, I think it's high time that we institutionalize, we make sure that institutions are given teeth to do what is required. The chair raised 12 critical points which should not be taken under the carpet. And you said that we just go on. And I think unless these things are addressed, we've done a fantastic thing as a nation, because we are the first one in this continent to have annulled a sitting president, which is historic. But let's not just go to the next level of doing another presidential election for the sake of doing it. Those 12 questions that he is raising are very, very pertinent.
Okay, Dr. Kaimenyi, October 17th has been set as the new presidential election date. Do you think the country is ready to be, or will be ready by October 17th, or should we make use of the 60 days given to us that will push us to November 1st?
Yes, we have been given 60 days, and we have to adhere to that law, because it's in the Constitution that when the NASA went to court and the petition went through, it was decided that the Constitution has given us 60 days to go back to the elections. So that rule of law must be adhered to. And for me, politics is about love and service. So when you serve out of love, then you consider the rule of law and the things that needs to be done before we go for elections. So knowing who we are as Kenyans, even if we change the commission and we have other commissioners, we still criticize them. Okay? So the date is not the issue. It's the intentions or the motives of our leaders. Because like my brother has said, if we sit down and agree, NASA and Jubilee, that we shall go with the date that was given for the sake of the country, so that the things can move, everything will go well. But even if we extend the date, but still we are bringing up new fresh issues, we are bringing up new demands that we need to be met, we will go up to December and things will not be done.
Okay, to Professor Pokarel, you are a lecturer. I mean, if the dates go beyond October 17th, as the CS for Education mentioned, this will affect the education calendar. So with that in mind, what should the politicians do at this point and keep both sectors at ease?
The thing is, the politicians should think of the students and their careers. That is very important. And in that case, either they agree for a change of date or agreed the date which was given by the Electoral Commission. Whatever, actually it was the case of methodology. And that is what Supreme Court has raised. The main link is a methodology of transmitting the results and declaring. So they can iron out in these, and as my colleagues here in the panel said, that the time for a new Electoral Commission change, how they can be trained. If these fellows have been trained for a couple of months and there are still some faults in the methodology, then how can you expect a very correct and transparent thing with the new Electoral Commission? And it being an independent body, since they are independent body, let them do the election in a proper and transparent manner as they are mandated. Thanks.
Florence, I mean, October 17th, is it a date you're comfortable with, especially with all the issues that are being raised ahead of the presidential election?
Oh, what I can say, going with what is happening now, I think October 17th would not be viable. Meaning that if the demands that are being put on the table are supposed to be met, if the IEBC is going to put its house in order, if everything concerning the elections is going to be in order, then we have really rushed to 17th. We could make use of the 60 days. For me, that would be my reasoning. I know people will say about the education. I'm also a parent, actually. And I believe if we get the right thing, then my daughter who is in school has a better future. And if I put her future here now and we still have the wrong thing, then she will still have faced whatever I'm facing even right now. So for me, October 17th would maybe be pushed somehow. I don't know. But for me, I think it was not really viable. Yeah.
Okay, Reverend Samuel, October 17th, if it goes past that, it might affect the education calendar. Are you comfortable as a parent?
Yes, let me say I will not be comfortable in that because we need also to think about other stakeholders. And that is one important thing that the IEBC ought to note, is that as much as we say that it is independent, I believe they relate with other stakeholders. So they need actually to swallow their pride together with the petitioner and even the Jubilee and the NASA, and sit around the table and put all things on board and talk. Because I believe it is important actually to have a consensus. If we have a dialogue on this, we'll be able to move. However, your question was whether I'll be comfortable on date 17. I think I'm comfortable in that because I believe that Chebukati and his team had sat down, and when they came to that decision, I want to believe that there are many things that they considered. And a very good example is what our panelists have just said about the students in the school, in the colleges. It's very important actually to think about them, because the future of this nation is not on the hands of the politicians. It is on the hands of the students who are in school. So we need also to think about them very much as we talk of election.
Okay, we are having this conversation because the Supreme Court sat down and nullified the re-election of President Uhuru Kenyatta last Friday. So did you agree with that verdict, Deco?
I think the Supreme Court ruling is one that is very historic, and it has proved to us and affirmed the fact that election is not just about queuing and casting your ballot into the box. It matters most on the process and everything that takes place after that. So I think the Supreme Court ruling gives us a precedence for what we are supposed to be doing in the near future. One of them being the fact that we have incorporated technology that we didn't use before. So it gives us an opportunity to ensure that we put in measures that prevent any aspect that will bungle elections in terms of incorporating technology and any other process that came in. So I think the Supreme Court ruling is one that should be, it is one that is plausible by everyone else. Thank you.
Nicholas, did you agree with the verdict?
I did, yes. And I know that so many people from Jubilee or the entire Jubilee fraternity, they're so angry about that decision. And while I give their right to be, to not to agree with that decision. I find it very awkward that actually they've been walking around, you know, hurling insults at the CJ and the entire bench. And you want to ask yourself, really, for the stature of Uhuru Kenyatta, you know, to go and say that wale wakora and a few people have decided to, you know, to annul the decision of 40 million Kenyans. You know, to us, we ask ourselves, if we are aspiring to be president, would we want to be Uhuru Kenyatta? Someone who cannot control, and you are hurling insults at elders. Remember, in my own understanding, Mr. Maraga is 68 years. He's an elder in this country. You don't want to go around, you know, hurling insults at other leaders, because Maraga and his entire team also draw their power from the people, because they are created by the constitution.
Michael, let's talk about the presidential decorum, if you may call it that. What do you think about how the president reacted?
First of all, before I talk on that, let me talk about the students issue. Because where I school, recently we admitted over 600 new students this semester. So tell me, if you keep on pushing the dates and pushing on the dates, where will these 600 students go? Look at their future. Again, I go against what my brother is saying here, that just after the nullification, the leader on the opposition asked Kenyans not to go to work. And now, to me personally, I think that is not being selfish as a politician, as a leader. First, you ask us not to go to work, and now you're telling us that if students examinations, they can still survive. Then why can't you survive with the same date of the election? Coming back now to your question, I think now our president, on my own point of view, one, I was very happy with him because immediately the court nullified the results. He accepted, and he was ready to go back to the ballot. But again, after that now is where, because if you look at how he was speaking, the kind of terms he used, and even on the Jubilee side, look at the way Moses Kuria has been posting stuff on social media. It tells a lot about the government. Being a Jubilee supporter, being on the side of Jubilee, the government, it tells a lot. And actually, what I believe is that the president just made a mistake, but again, even his team, you always learn from your leader.
Okay, Reverend Sami, do you agree in how he conducted himself, or was he being a typical politician?
In fact, Gladys, allow me to say something very important, that we have a problem in the leadership in Kenya. I may call it integrity deficiency. There's a problem. But I want to differ with my brother here, because he's talking like the president did a very bad thing. Talking like a psychologist. There's nobody who is free 100% from emotions. Sometimes even yourself, Gladys, when somebody steps on your toe, you don't just say thank you very much. You must react, because that's how you are created.
But you have to consider the stature.
No, it's okay. I don't disagree with that. But I believe, I want to tell my brother that no one is, all of us are subject to emotions. However, it is important actually to strike a balance, and especially when you are a leader. And remember what I said at the beginning, that integrity matters. And the first statement of our president was very good, very good. If you ask me, if that statement could be enough, that would be very good of him.
Kenyatta, what do you think?
You asked two good questions. That one, whether we were happy with the ruling or not. I think that depends on where one's support is hinged on. Because to the Jubilee supporters, it was a no-no. But to the NASA supporters, it was the first time in the history that justice was being seen. And I want to differ with Prof when he says that let's conduct ourselves as we angle peace, as we look at the country, which is okay. But peace is not just the absence of war or conflict. peace, yes. There could be people greeting and hugging, but right within them, there are some internal wars. And so, having said that, we should look at ourselves as we see where Kenya will be in the next 20 years or so to come. And with all due respect, we've got the Constitution 2010 defines to us the symbols of national unity, national flag, national anthem, and presidency. Yes, he had every right to be angry, because we get angry. No man is an island. But the demeanor, the body language, the kind of adjectives he used at Bama Market did not define the office of the presidency.
Dr. Kemenyi, as you watched the president react to it, even as he went on the campaign trail already, if you may call it that, what was your perception of that?
I think I'll continue repeating my theme about politics, that any one of us who wants to join politics must be driven by love, which gives rise to service for your fellow men. That you want to be president because you want to serve a nation, you want to serve people, and you want to see the progress and the standard of living. Now, having said that, you need to have the qualities of a leader. And the way to have a qualities of a leader is the way you address when you win or when you lose. Because when you look at our politics, NASA and Jubilee, nobody wants to lose. And in every election, in every context, there must be a loser and a winner. And so this whole thing is that everyone wants to be president. But the both of them cannot be president. You can only have one head in a nation. And so the way you react when you lose tells you what your motives are. Okay, so if you react in anger, if you are out of control of your emotions, it shows us that you are not willing to lose. Okay. So I'll not say the details about what I think, how you reacted.
All right,
the shows you are not ready to lose.
Okay, Florence, even as we close, I think the pertinent question here will be, are you planning to vote on October 17th?
Yes, if I'm satisfied I'm voting through the IEBC that I would want to vote through.
Professor, will you be voting?
Incidentally, I'm not a voter. Although I'm working here for last 43 years in the university. But just summing up, I think whatever is the situation, everybody should go and vote. Not voting is not proper. You know, in democracy, vote matters. And you should go and vote and express your opinion. Regarding one question, just briefly I will say, in the Supreme Court ruling and other things, you know, the things can be looked in an optimistic way or pessimistic way. The most optimistic way of the Supreme Court ruling is that it gave a message that if you have any grievances with any decision, go to the court, don't go to the street. That is the very good thing, and actually it has shown the way not only to the Kenya but to entire Africa.